What's going on, guys? This is TJ's Dallas Cowboys report. Set your DVR, set your PVR, set your VCR. This is TDCR, and I know it's been a minute, but we're back. We're back at it. If you follow the other podcasts on the channel, you know that I haven't disappeared forever. I just haven't been able to have the time to dedicate to these Cowboys videos, but I have to now. I have to be back. So I'm glad to be back. Yeah, let's just get into it. Cooper Rush is that guy. I was in fact wrong about Cooper Rush. He's that dog. He's that dude. And the Cowboys are sitting at 4-1 right now. I'm recording this prior to the Eagles game, Sunday Night Football. The Eagles Cowboys. It's going to be a hell of a fucking matchup. We're going to get into that one. I'm going to preview that a little bit later, but I just want to get into a bunch of different topics. I've missed a lot. I'm not going to review every single game, but I just want to talk about the players, about the team, how everything's going. So yeah, let's do that. All right. So report cards for all three phases in the first 5 games, which I guess you could consider a quarter now. I don't know. We got 17 games, so 4 games isn't a quarter anymore. But the offense, I think overall, I got to give the offense a B because they're doing enough to get it done. But it's nothing like it. We're not seeing those big explosive plays. We're not seeing, like huge points being put up like every single week. It's kind of a little bit low scoring and we're kind of just playing our style of football, but I'm not saying that's a bad thing. So I give it a B. I just think low turnovers, running game has been buzzing, and the O-line is just playing very well since Dak's been hurt. It's been pretty solid and not getting too many penalties either. But yeah, the only knock I give is just kind of the explosive plays, and then also the how do you say it, like the lack of points being put up on the board by the offense, because we have had points like, fumble recoveries by D-Law last week pops into my head, like points being put up by the defense, but we need to get some more points going up by the offense, which Dak might help with. Obviously, I assume he will. But moving on here to the defensive phase of the game, A plus. Like, what can you even say? It's got to be an A plus. We're talking about 19 points, 17 points, 16 points, 10 points, and 10 points allowed in the first 5 games. And we didn't play Washington 5 times. We played the Giants, who look good, the Bengals, the Buccaneers, and the Rams. Like, we were playing some pretty high-powered offenses, some pretty good teams, and we were holding them to under 20 points in every single one of those games. Like, this is what I'm talking about when I'm telling people on, if you check out the Cheese Boys NFL podcast on this channel or on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, I've been saying this defense can carry us. It really can, and I think it's going to continue to carry us. But looking like elsewhere on the defense, the pressure comes from every single person on the defensive line. It's A1. We love to see it. Corners are locking up, playing good football. I mean, we're going to get into each specific corner and just kind of like how they've all been playing, but they're playing well. And then the safety play is just, when have the Dallas Cowboys had safeties like this, guys? Like, it's been too long to feel confident with not only 2 safeties, but we got a 3rd safety who's a dog too. It's nice to see. And then on special teams, I'm looking at what I wrote down in my notes here, but I gave them an A, and honestly, I don't really know what more I'm expecting of them to get an A plus. We've blocked punts, we've blocked field goals, which I want to shout out Dorrance Armstrong. He's been a dog in special teams so far. And then we've had a few good, kick returns, or I should say punt returns from Cavante Turpin, and he's looked good. Like, when he does break those few, he hasn't broken one for a touchdown, but he breaks out those 20, 30-ish yard punt returns, and that's always nice to see. And then Anger's a dog. He can boom that ball. And then Brett Money Maher has been just knocking through those field goals. Who would have thought? But maybe the only improvement would be kick return, but I can't really dog kick return because they're not kicking to Turpin. So if they just keep kicking it out of bounds, how can I blame Turpin for not getting those big kick return touchdowns, right? So that's just kind of my grades. I'll go back over it real quick for all 3 phases. So far, first 5 games, I got the offense with a B, the defense with an A plus, and the special teams with an A. It could be an A plus. I don't know. I might be hating a little bit too hard. I'm not too sure. But now I just kind of want to move on to just each player, just I'm not going to go over every player, but just kind of all encompassing topics about the players, etc. So Cooper Rush, he's been the ultimate backup. I mean, managing this game, like the last game, sorry, the versus the Rams, he managed that game well. Our defense came to play, and Cooper got the job done. I mean, he only threw for like 100 yards, and I believe he only threw to CD, MG, and Schultz. Like he threw to three guys in that whole game, but he did what was needed of him, and yeah, that's all I really got to say about that. I'm going to move on to the big debate. Cooper versus Dak. Which side do you fall on? It's not a debate, guys. Like, we got to stop. It's not a debate. It's going to be Dak. When Dak comes back, Dak will be the quarterback for your Dallas Cowboys. And guess what? Your defense is phenomenal. And you have Noah Brown, who started to step up. You got Michael Gallup back. Once Dak comes back to this team, we're going to see an uptick in offense, and we're going to play the same style. I'm hoping we play the same style, run the ball with Zeke, run the ball with Tony, and just look for our shots. But now those shots are going to be with Dak, so the playbook opens up a little bit more, and I think it's going to be no debate. And the offense combined with this phenomenal defense with Dak, it's good. I think it could be. I think it could be good. I don't know. I don't like to talk in too far ahead in the future because you never know what's going to happen. You never know what's going to happen with injuries. But I think this team is looking very, very well equipped to make the playoffs and maybe do something when they get there. If they get Dak back and everything keeps clicking the way that it is on defense, and the offense just hums and haws properly once Dak puzzle piece fits back in there, if that makes any sense, the analogy I just made. But Zeke and Tony, I kind of touched on it there. Smash the ball with Zeke and Tony. I know there's the whole Tony has the big pop explosive plays, give him the ball more, but I don't know if that would necessarily work. I don't know if Tony would have the explosive plays that he does in the middle of games if he was smashing for the first 10, 11, 12 rushing attempts of the game. He might not get the big spring. So I love Zeke. Just I have not been one of the guys who just simps over Zeke. Like, I love Zeke till I die. Like, I was down on Zeke a little bit last year, but he was injured, and this year he's came out, and there's games where he has 60 rushing yards. But I feel like everybody's like, he had a good game, because when you watch the eye test, he's smashing into guys, he's setting his blocks, he's played really well. And then Tony gives you that explosion, that X factor. And so far, I like the way they've deployed it. I mean, obviously, we'd probably all like to see a couple more Tony Pollard runs, maybe some more screens, maybe some more just, touches for Tony. But I really can't complain about either running back. Our running game has been really solid, and especially in that Rams game. I mean, that Tony Pollard run was electric. Like, I will not lie. That was some dog mentality right there. Stiff armed the dude. Just I thought for sure the last guy was going to catch him too on the around like the 20-yard line, and then he just has that little extra speed burst. He didn't run out of stamina yet in Madden. He didn't have to hit the celebration, if you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, no, Zeke and Tony, what can you really say, right? All right, moving on to the offense. We got CD, who, since that drop, I think that drop, and all y'all know what I'm talking about, that big touchdown drop that he had, I believe, in week 2. Ever since that moment, he has like turned a new leaf, it feels like. This guy is not dropping as many passes as it felt like he was in the past. He's doing his thing, and he's proven that he can really take over this number one role. And I'm excited to see when Dak comes back, because I think when Dak comes back, he's going to be locked in. They're going to have a connection, and it's going to be a fun thing to see, my boys. It's going to be fun to see. MG, welcome back, my boy, Michael Gallup, MG13. He's been playing. I mean, first couple games, he felt like he was getting his legs back under him. I feel like he's just improved week to week to week. So I'm excited to see what he can do against the Eagles tonight. I think we're going to need him. That toe tap catch against the Rams was just, that's classic Michael Gallup, and we're going to need some magic like that tonight. So I hope he comes out and plays well. Shouts out to Michael Gallup for coming back from that injury, and so far, he hasn't really looked too far behind. I mean, he's still warming up, but he's looked solid. Moving on here, Noah Brown. I mean, Noah Brown's looked good. His last couple games have been a little bit more down, which it might just be because teams aren't taking Cooper Rush like as a joke no more. People are kind of more seriously game planning against the pass game against Cooper Rush. I mean, who would have thought? But Noah Brown's been solid enough, and I'm excited to see again when Dak comes back to see that connection kind of start up and grow because we talked about this a little bit on the Cheese Boys NFL podcast, but maybe just Cooper Rush and Michael Gallup. Or sorry, not Michael Gallup, Noah Brown. They've played together for how many years on scout team, second team, just developing that chemistry. So once Dak gets that chemistry with Noah Brown, I do think Noah Brown has the tools where he can provide things to this offense in a deep threat scenario. Also, just a possession kind of catch guy, not really as much as a go up and get it guy like a Michael Gallup, or not as much like a playmaker like CD, but he's definitely just a possession guy. If you get it to him, he'll make the play. So I'm excited to see where that goes. But then the question really is with the wide receiver group, who else? We haven't really seen, Turpin hasn't really stepped into that role. Not that saying that we expected him, but Tolbert was injured and not in the lineup for the first couple weeks, and then he got a couple reps in the last few games, but he hasn't popped. Like, I mean, most of Cowboys Nation kind of thought this guy was going to come in, maybe be our wide receiver 3 to start the year with Gallup being out, and then we'll figure it out from there, and he'll be playing well. But he really hasn't done that yet. Simi Fihoko, same kind of situation. Some people thought that this guy was going to come in and just instantly have like an impact, and so far it hasn't been there. So I'm not really sure where they're going to find that production. I hope it's Tolbert. I hope they just get him involved more and he starts to just get more used to the NFL, get more used to the game reps. But if not, do they make a trade? Do they make a trade? And that's another big debate in Cowboys Nation right now, or at least on Cowboys Twitter that I've seen is DJ Moore of the Carolina Panthers. Do the Cowboys make that trade? Now, me personally, I don't really like it because it smells of Amari Cooper. It smells of giving up a first or more to get a wide receiver that you're gonna have to pay for 3-4 years, and then when we get to 3-4 years, you're paying that man behind me his jersey, Micah Parsons. You're paying this man that I'm wearing, my CD Lamb, and then you're paying this guy, Dak Prescott. You're just paying too many people money where you're going to end up just trading DJ Moore for nothing because you can't afford him the same way that you couldn't afford Amari Cooper, even though, we can have that talk where whether or not you could have afforded Amari Cooper. But regardless, you're going to be in the same situation where you're trading away assets that for less value than they have because you're in a cap crunch, which I just don't like setting ourselves up for that. I'd rather us just keep that pick and, you know, draft a second round receiver or first round receiver. I don't know. It depends on who you lose in the offseason, whether you go first round receiver, but second, third round receiver again, and just kind of build that way instead of giving up assets for guys that you have to pay. Maybe it'll help you for a year or two, but then if it in turn makes you gut your roster down the line, I don't really like that move. So that's my take on the DJ Moore. I know Cowboys Nation is just they all love the new fancy shiny things, but I'm trying to be realistic. And I think Cowboys Nation knows it too when you guys really think about it. Would you rather get DJ Moore and then potentially lose a CD, a Parsons, a Diggs? You're letting one of those guys go because you can't pay them, or you're giving up like your first round pick, second round pick to get DJ Moore for 2 seasons. Like, do you like that? Me personally, no. I don't know about y'all, but you can let me know in the comments if you disagree and you just really want DJ Moore, which I feel like it would be electric. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not saying CD Lamb, DJ Moore, and Michael Gallup would not just be phenomenal to see on the field together. And probably one of the most explosive offenses when you include Tony Pollard, Zeke, Dak. But I just don't think it really makes too much sense. And also, we act like the Cowboys always like to go and do these big splashy moves. Like they really did the Amari Cooper move. Since then, when have we ever done something like drastic like that? We like to draft our own guys and we keep all our own guys. Like you've seen it all the guys we drafted on this roster are basically still here. So anyway, moving on, quick transition, the tight ends. Good to see Schultz back. Schultz is a dog. It looks like we hit on Jake Ferguson, and it looks like we hit on a 6th-round tight end and Peyton Hendershot. So the question really becomes, do you even pay Schultz in the offseason? I know Schultz is an X factor, and I really do like Schultz, but if it comes down to paying him 11, 12, 13 million dollars, you could just run Jake Ferguson and Peyton Hendershot next year, and you could just roll with that. So yeah, I'm more so thinking. I think I just said Peyton Hendershot was a 6th-round tight end. He might be undrafted. I could be completely tripping myself up. He could be undrafted, but either way, you got your 4th-round tight end in Ferguson. You got your undrafted tight end in Hendershot, and I really feel like next season you could just roll with that. But looking at this year, you go 3 deep. You love to see it, and obviously Schultz is your guy. He's well and away the best guy for sure, but it's good to see that these guys below him look like they definitely could take over that mantle if they needed to next season. So it's good to see. Good to see. Here's a bit more of a topic we can discuss in more detail is our offensive line. The last couple of games, they've looked really good in my opinion. They have not allowed too much pressure. They've been blocking nice up front. Even like Aaron Donald didn't have that massive of an impact on that game. So when your offensive line can come out of a game like that, the Washington game, just really not feeling like the D line did too much damage to your offensive line, it makes you happy. Kind of some question marks that I have is Jason Peters or McGovern. I think you play Jason Peters, obviously, but if Jason Peters, if you still got to have like a somewhat limited role, like, or even just give Jason Peters games off and let McGovern start, like, versus, I know every game in the NFL is a tough game, but versus lesser opponents, you can kind of rest Jason Peters to have Jason Peters ready for the playoffs. And yeah, that's what I would do. Also, I like Jason Peters playing left guard so far. Like, ain't no complaints. He's a veteran. He's able to get it done, and we can really bless there because it was looking pretty down bad starting the year with the Tyron injury. And yeah, so moving on to kind of Steele, Biadasz, Martin. I think they're all playing well. Like, obviously Biadasz and Steele have had their issues, holdings and some penalties, but overall I feel like Steele's kind of clamped down since the first 2 weeks. He's kind of really locked in and played well. Biadasz hasn't been anything spectacular, but he hasn't been anything like, oh my God, get Biadasz out of here. We need a new center. Like, no, he's done his part and he's done his job. And then Zach Martin, the president, he's that guy. Like, what more can we say? He's that dog. He's that dude. So shout out to Zach Martin for just absolutely being a stud. Now moving on to Tyler Smith, everyone's boy. Super nervous about him playing left tackle to start the year. Now I have questions about what happens when Tyron Smith comes back. Now I know. You got to play Tyron Smith at left tackle, right? Or do you? Like, I just don't. Where do you play Tyron Smith? You can't have Tyron Smith on your bench. Do you move Tyron to right tackle? Do you move Tyler to right tackle? Like, moving them to the right side, I don't really know if I love that. So you just take Jason Peters out at guard, even if he's played guard well, and put Tyler Smith there where he hasn't played in the NFL? Or do you put Tyron Smith at left guard where he hasn't played in the NFL? Like, it's just, that debate's going to be really interesting if Tyron comes back and if he's able to be healthy, which he is supposed to be at some point. So what do you do with Tyler Smith? Because I think Tyler Smith is playing amazing at left tackle. Would you take him out of left tackle for Tyron Smith? Potentially. You play Tyron Smith at guard? I don't know about that. It's just, there's a lot of question marks there. So I'm really interested to look down at that down the road. But anyway, shouts out to Tyler Smith because the rookie has proven all the doubters wrong so far. He has looked very solid at left tackle. So now moving on to some of our defensive boys. I'm going to start with the D line. Where do you think I'm going to start? Dorrance Armstrong. I probably got you there. I probably got you there because Dorrance Armstrong deserves his flowers in his limited role where he's not always on the field. He gets subbed in and out. He does play a good chunk of snaps, but Dorrance Armstrong on special teams, I mentioned it before, rushing the passer, rushing the passer. Geez, what happened there? The big lisp, but rushing the passer, just getting after the run. Dorrance Armstrong has proven that we really didn't need to pay Randy Gregory. And that's not to say that Randy Gregory wouldn't have also been nice on this offense, but I'm saying you got a lot of the production there for a lot cheaper of the price. So I'm I'm a big DA guy. I'm a big Dorrance Armstrong guy. So give Dorrance his flowers. He's played great throughout the first 5 weeks. So shouts out. Micah Parsons is an absolute a dog of a human. He is a dog. I don't even think he is human. He's a dog. Actually, he's a lion. No, I'm sorry. He is a lion. But yeah, Micah Parsons is just playing out of his mind so far throughout this season. So, and yeah, like last week, Micah apparently came out of the game with a groin injury, and then coach was asking him, "Oh, you all right? You all right?" And he goes, "Coach, if I'm alive, I'm going back in that game." So that just shows you this guy's got that dog mentality. Like he's an absolute dog. He's our leader, and he's the reason that this defense is popping as much as they can due to his versatility and just due to how much he can do. It allows everyone else to just play a lot more freely. And that brings me to Demarcus Lawrence, who this is the year for DeMarcus. He has fully returned to, not fully returned. Okay, I gotta watch myself. I gotta slow down, but he has returned to that peak level of play. Maybe not, in the 13 sack season era, but he's definitely doing it all from what he always does in run defense. We've known that he's a stud run defender, but rushing the passer, he's coming back alive. And they just, those three that I mentioned, Dorrance Armstrong, Micah, and Demarcus Lawrence, they all feed off each other and help each other when they eat up blocks. And yeah, it's just good to see Demarcus playing at this level. Moving on to the defensive tackles, Neville, Osa, and Quinton Bohanna have all just like each taken another step forward. It's good to see Neville come back from the injury last year and just really look good this year. He looks so much bigger too, which is like crazy. He looks so much like stronger. He's just a dog. Osa, we knew was a dog, and he kind of hit a rookie wall at the end of last year, but he's looked good to start this year. And then Quinton Bohanna from out of the woodworks in training camp has just came. Everyone, John Ridgeway, John Ridgeway, John Ridgeway. Quinton Bohanna says, "No, Rafi, no, this is my time. It's my time." And Quinton Bohanna just takes over that role, and he just eats up blocks. He's such a massive human, but yeah, shouts out to Quinton Bohanna for sure. So another guy, Dante Fowler, limited, but in pops, he comes out and he makes plays. So maybe we'll see some more snaps from him. And then also Sam Williams, kind of the same boat. Like the snaps aren't always there, not getting as much snaps as the top guys, but in the role that they play, they are showing out. And yeah, Sam Williams is really showing that potential. So it's good to see the last couple weeks. Now let's talk about the linebackers. And one note that I wanted to talk about, and I just wanted to bring this up, weeks and weeks ago, but I'm just going to bring it up now. I do love like Dan Quinn's defense and how unique it is that we run like a 5-2 nickel style defense. Like just having the two linebackers / Micah, who's your third linebacker that's on the D line that can drop back and just do so much. It's just, it's so much fun to watch. I just love how unique our defense is. But moving on, Barr and LVE at the linebacker position have been holding it down. They've been looking good. I mean, there are times where both might make, a small mistake here and there, but all in all, there ain't really much complaints from me. I mean, I think they're doing their job in run defense and covering the pass and allowing the guys to get after it on the D line. My questions about the linebackers though is Brillo Cox, where he at though? Where's Jabril Cox, and what's the game plan? What's the move with him? He's been playing special teams. I know, like he's out there, but He hasn't been getting the reps, so I'm interested to see if maybe down the line we put Cox in more, or maybe Cox just kind of has another redshirt year coming off the injury and gets in for some snaps here and there, but he doesn't take over Barr or LVE's role until next season. And then kind of in the same boat as Damone Clark. He's not back yet, but he is supposed to be back a lot sooner than I think people were saying he's supposed to be back. So if he comes back, and then does he start pushing for a roster spot? I doubt it. I don't think he's going to get in if Cox isn't getting in. But looking towards the future, if you don't have an LV or a Barr, Cox and Clark might be the two guys that are playing in this 5-2 nickel defense. So yeah, shouts out to the linebackers playing well. Corners, Diggs is coming alive. So many people kept saying to me, like I kept saying, Diggs can develop. Like, why do you not think Diggs can develop? This guy played wide receiver at Alabama, and now he's coming into the NFL as a corner after only playing 2 years of corner at Alabama after transitioning from a wide receiver. So when you look at things like that, it makes me question why people think he couldn't just keep developing. And so far this year, I mean, yes, in that Rams game, he did get burnt twice by Cooper Kupp, the best receiver, if not the best, the second best, third best, whatever. He's the top 3 receiver in the entire NFL. The guy's an animal with a quarterback that has an elite chemistry with him. So calm down if you're giving Diggs shit over getting cooked twice, only twice by Cooper Kupp. He's shut down Jamar Chase. He shut down Terry McLaurin. He's been that guy so far this season, and he's proven that he really can improve his game to not just be the playmaker, turnover machine, interception king. He can also be a shutdown corner, and he's just going to keep getting better. I keep telling people that. A lot of people said that he wouldn't do it, a lot of haters, but haha, you're mad. So moving on to Brown and Jordan Lewis. Those guys have been just steady Eddie doing their part. Brown, I feel like just every year, Brown just starts to look better and better. And then Jordan Lewis, such an underrated tackler from the slot position. Like he's really a dog at, sniffing out those screens and stuff like that. So shouts out to those guys. Ain't no complaints there. And then if you're looking at a fourth corner, this is kind of one of the big like question marks or big what ifs. If a guy does go down, like it is Bland. Like if the guy gets hurt, Deron Bland is coming in, not Kelvin Joseph, which is kind of hurts to see because I really had a lot of hopes for Kelvin Joseph. And I'm not saying that it's all over, but seeing him get beat out by a guy that's like a rookie this year is kind of alarming. But that, not to take anything away from Deron Bland, who's an absolute dog. He looks really good, and I could see him potentially starting if we do lose a Jordan Lewis or an Anthony Brown in the upcoming, future. He could end up stepping in and being a slot kind of corner or an outside corner. He could do both. That's what's really impressive about him early on. Moving on to the safeties, because I said I wanted to do this. We have 3 dogs in the safety position. We got a box safety in Ron Curse, who's not just a box safety. He can go and cover as well in, the deep cover too. But then we got the agitator and Donovan Wilson, who's just a monster. Donovan Wilson can lay that boomstick. He's just a stud. And then we got that cover safety in Hooker, which is just the 3 archetypes that you love to see: the box, the agitator, and the cover guy. And they all can play each other's role. It's interchangeable and just so good so far. Curse, I mean, he came back from the injury, but he's looked well. Donovan Wilson, like I said, he brings that edge like almost to this defense. He has that kind of just willingness to just boom stick anybody, really just lay them out. And that just kind of permeates through the defense for sure. And then Malik Hooker, like another year removed. I think I heard Jerry or somebody was talking about how good Malik Hooker is, and it's true. Like Malik Hooker has just been taking that next step, like 1 year removed from the injury, just looking back to early on Colts Hooker, like just it's really good to see a guy like that. I don't know what's going to go on when his contract's up. He might be getting some money, but for now we love to see it. Looking at the punter, Brian Anger. Guy's a dog. He's got a boomstick. I know I keep saying everybody on the Cowboys are dogs, but they are dogs. This whole team has that dog mentality, and that's what's going to push them. So, and then Brett Money Maher. Brett Money Maher. Who would have thought Brett Maher was going to be the guy to put it all together, come back to Dallas, and just really show out? But so far, how can you complain? I mean, I do love the stat that like 50 plus, he hasn't missed, 30 in, he hasn't missed, but like 30 to 49. You don't want to kick from 30 to 49. You might as well just go for it on fourth down. But no, I'm just kidding. But yeah, Brett Money Maher, he's looked really good. And yeah, it's kind of wraps up just my all-encompassing 5-game thoughts on the Dallas Cowboys roster, Dallas Cowboys units in offense, defense, special teams. And yeah, that's kind of all I got to say on that. Moving on, however, we got an Eagles game tonight, Sunday Night Football. It's going to be a fucking wild one. We know it's going to be a wild one, but as painful as it is for me to say, Eagles are a good team. They are a very, very good team. But I think there's a path for us to win. I took us to win. If you watched our Pick'ems episode, I took our boys to win, and I'm going to lay out my keys on how I think you're going to get that done. Starting on the defense, we got to limit AJ Brown, which means Trayvon with safety help. Something's got to give against AJ Brown. You can't let this guy just shred us for 200 yards and just have a big game. Like, that can't happen. Next, Jalen can't beat us with his legs, man. Jalen cannot beat us with his legs. You got to have Micah. You got to have Donovan Wilson, J-Ron. I don't know who it is, but somebody's at least alert, if not spying on the run every single play. And then you got to first force some turnovers with Cooper, and they got a really good defense over there with Philadelphia. You got to force turnovers on defense to help your offense out. You got to put your offense in favorable positions, and I think we're capable of doing that. I'm looking at Trayvon for some big plays, maybe locked up against Devontae Smith for a play, another pick. He likes to pick on Devontae Smith. But those are my kind of 3 keys. AJ Brown, can't let him beat you. Jalen, make him throw. Don't let him beat us with his legs. And then force turnovers, because we got to put our offense in good positions. The keys for the offense, just play our game. Let the Cooper rush train flow. Smash the ball with Zeke and Tony. Like, do your thing. And then play disciplined football, low turnovers. Low penalties. And then also limit turnovers, no risks. So offensive keys, play our game, smash the ball, let Cooper Rush just kind of be steady Eddie. Play discipline, low penalties, like we have been the last few weeks, and then limit turnovers, don't take a lot of risks. Just put the game on your defense's back. It's what we've been doing. I want to see us score 20 points on offense, but I'm really hoping that our defense can continue the trend and hold the Eagles to under 20 points. And if we can do that, then we'll be set up for success. So that leads me into my prediction. I'm predicting a 21-17 Cowboys win over the Philadelphia Eagles on Sunday night. I know it's bold. Cooper Rush, he's going to carry us. He's going to be our hero. Micah Parsons, you're our messiah. You need to get us there. But yeah, that's what I gotta say about all that. If you like this video, guys, like it, subscribe to Off the Post Sports on YouTube. You can also find this podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcast at TDCR or TJ's Dallas Cowboys Report. This has been my overall 5 weeks heading into the Eagles game episode. And yeah, I'm hoping to come back and be a little more consistent with these. If you enjoyed it, make sure you leave some comments and let me know that you want more. All right, guys, take care. Peace.